Hey everybody, Shawn Powers here, and this video is the solution to weekend assignment number 19. Basically, the assignment was to figure out 3 different ways to determine the MX records for a given domain. We went over the solution during the live stream. This is a clip of that solution. See you later. And we'll go to snar.co/WA19 for weekend assignment 19. And here it is. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit. Boom, boom, boom. I think it was a pretty simple assignment this week if you watched the video that I uploaded yesterday. Find a domain's MX record using at least 3 different methods. Now, yesterday's video, I talked about probably 3 different methods in the video itself, just using different tools on the Linux command line. But I'm also going to encourage you to go online and look for stuff too. So let's get a browser, or let's get a terminal window. I'm just going to use my local computer. I'm not going to spin up a VM. This is just the computer that I'm streaming from. Yeah, I should probably zoom in a bit. Let's do 3 command line tools, and then I will add another way using the internets. I guess we're using the internet for all these ways. Just this is a command line way of doing it. First of all is dig. Dig is a command that I use for most of my DNS research, if you will, when I'm on the command line. And like I said in the video yesterday, NSLOOKUP was kind of deprecated and then undeprecated. I don't know the story there, but it's now valid and usable. So NSLOOKUP is fine, but dig is something that I've been using a long time and something I didn't mention in the video yesterday. If you want to test a specific DNS server with dig, it's really easy. And I'm sure you can do it with other tools too, but let's say, so if I say dig google.com, this is just a little bit of bonus. This is like weekend assignment 19.1 or something. If you just do dig there, it'll query like this is my local DNS server. This is like in my resolve.conf. So if we do look at my resolve.conf, it'll say my first name server is this. And I actually have multiple. So if it fails, it goes out to the internet. But my main name server is 192.168.1.1. And when we do a query, that's the server that it queries. But you can have dig use a different domain server if you want to test, like if something is propagated to different servers. So let's do dig and then the @ symbol. I'll get my cursor out of the way, hide that. At 8.8.8.8, for example, that's Google's DNS server, their public DNS server. So if you dig at 8.8.8.8 for something like nerdlings.net, which is my domain, it'll return the information, which is this, that's the IP address that's publicly available. But it used this server, even though that wasn't the server that my computer would have normally used, because normally my computer uses 192.168.1.1. So if you want to test different servers, that's a really great way to go about doing it with dig without changing any of your system configs. Just dig at, and then what DNS server you want to query, and then what domain you want to query, and it'll do the same thing. It just uses a different server. So anyway, that was just a kind of a bonus tip. But to find the MX records, you can do that with dig. I don't think I did that with dig in the video yesterday. So let's clear the screen, and I'm going to say dig. I'll just use my local DNS. I won't say add any DNS server, but dig, we'll do nerdlings.net again. Nerdlings.net, again, my domain. And we'll just do capital M, capital X. So dig that MX, and it should give us the MX records. And I'm going to stretch this a bit just so it doesn't wrap. And this gave us that information. The answer section here, nerdlings.net, the MX record is this, and there's a second MX record of this. And like I said in the video, this is correct, even though nerdlings.net is my domain. These are my MX servers because I use something called MX Guard Dog as my spam filter. And all of the email that is directed to anything at nerdlings.net is first delivered to the MX Guard Dog servers, and that's these 2. And then once it does its filtering stuff, it passes it on to my local email server, which I actually host at my farm. Like I'm actually running Postfix to get and send mail. But if you send me something, it gets filtered at, oh, doggone it. Sorry, I wasn't moving enough. My motion detector thought I left. and it delivers to my local mail server after it's been done there. Another significance here, and this has become more of a lesson than I intended. It's hard not to teach stuff, but when you look at an MX record, most domains have more than one, and they have this priority level. The lower the number, the higher the priority. And so MX record with the number 10 priority is this one. But if for some reason this is offline or inaccessible, like say you try to email me something and this particular server is either behind a firewall that's offline or there's a net split or something, and it doesn't respond, then an email server will query again and it'll look for the next available MX server. In this case, it would be this one because 20 is higher than 10. So if this one fails, it will then try the same thing on this one. And then most of them have like a timeout and retry feature. So if they all fail, then, it'll hold it and then try again in a half hour or something. But this is just a way for a little bit of redundancy. Usually these will be in different physical locations so that if there's a net split or something, mail can still be delivered. So anyway, that's a little more about MX than you actually wanted to know, but nonetheless, there it is. So that's how you can find an MX record using dig. You just dig the domain and then space MX. I'm not sure if it has to be capital. I've always used capital. Let's see if it has to be capital. Doesn't even have to be capital. Just MX after the domain you're looking up, and it will find that MX information. We can also use the host command, which I believe I did use in yesterday's video. And this one, all you have to do is say host. We'll do the same thing, nerdlinks.net, boom, and it will give you all the information that you might need. That's the IP address of nerdlinks.net, like the root domain resolves to that IP address, and then it tells us the MX records. It doesn't actually call them MX records, which is interesting, but it says mail is handled by, and it doesn't explain the 10 here, but we just went over that, by this and by this server. And this should work for others as well. Let's do host gmail.com. And so, yeah, there's a whole bunch that Gmail has, which makes sense, right? I mean, you'd think they would have some redundancy built in to the Gmail system. And so all of these are MX servers, and you'll see they have numbers. So like this is probably going to be the highest priority. I don't see anything bigger or lower than 5. So that's the first one it'll try, and then 10, 20, 30, 40. It looks like and then there's a IP version 4 and IP version 6 address for gmail.com. Because it didn't just give us the MX records, but it gave us all those. And then, so that's 2 ways. One more way, we'll use NS lookup again, which was deprecated, but is not deprecated anymore. So NS lookup, this is one of I usually get wrong the first time, the format to get an MX record, but it's like dash type equals MX. And the reason I always mess it up is because generally in Linux, there's, if it's a single dash, it's a letter. It's like dash T. And then if it's a word, it's like dash dash type. But this doesn't follow that format. If you do dash dash, it'll give you an error. So it's just a strange way that they have done this. But anyway, NS lookup, single dash type equals MX, and then nerdlinks.net. And then we get this information, what server we got the response from. Again, my local DNS server. It's actually on my pfSense router right there. Nerdlinks.net, mail exchanger, 10, 20, so all the same information. So all the same information that we got from all of the others, 3 different ways to get that. And then let's just go, I don't know a specific one to use, but if you just Google for like find MX records or DNS queries, MX lookup tool. I mean, pretty much all of these are going to work just fine. So I'll go to the second one here, dnschecker.org. They're probably all going to be ad laden, but if you just put in the domain, so we'll do the same thing over just so we know we're getting the same information. Nerdlinks.net, check the MX record. Oh, it allows like which server do you want to use? Let's say Cloudflare, just because that's actually where the nerdlings.net DNS stuff is hosted. So it should definitely know the answer. Check the MX record, and it gave us, oh, cool. It gave us not just the MX record, which it did give us, but also information about the that server itself. What I don't see though, it doesn't look like it gave us the 10 and 20, unless I'm missing that somewhere. That's funny. It gave us more information than we got anywhere else, but it didn't tell us which was like 10 and 20, like the weight of each of those. But anyway, there's lots of information you can find from these web tools, but usually what they do is under the hood, they'll just be running some command line tool to get that same information and then just, put it on the screen. So anyway, hopefully that covers the weekend assignment. And I'll put this on the playlist, and you might be watching it from the playlist.